Hello and welcome to episode 1 of this 5-part series on the top 5 mistakes that users make when they start to use Adobe Illustrator. In this first episode, what we'll be looking at is your document setup and just making sure that you're doing everything in the right way, that you're not making any mistakes so that you can start out with the right foot forward. Some of you might be using Illustrator for creating marketing collateral for print. Some of you might be using Illustrator for fashion and textile merchandising. Some of you might be using it as an interior designer to do floor plans, or you may even be using Illustrator to create web banners and web assets. Any of those methods require a different sort of file setup or document setup. So we'll run through some of the key document setups and the mistakes you best avoid when you are using Adobe Illustrator. Let's dive right in. When we're setting our document up in Illustrator, it's important to understand the intent of a document. Is the document going to be used for print purposes? Is it going to be used online as some sort of web graphic or web element? Or maybe you're creating a logo that's going to be used across all sorts of applications such as web and print and signage. So I'm now going to run through setting up an A4 document that is for print. So if I come up to my File drop-down menu to create a new document, and this opens up my new document window. So it's from within here that I can decide what sort of profile I want to have. If you click on this little drop-down here under Profile, you can see there's a few different options available. The top one being Print, underneath that we've got Web. They're the two most common profiles that you'll need. Print, obviously, when we're sending something to digital or offset press, and then web if you're creating web graphics or web elements. So as this is a print document, I will leave it set to print, which will put it in that CMYK color space, which you can see underneath here. It also means that any kind of raster effects that I run will be run out at 300 pixels per inch. That is the ideal resolution when we're working for print. Now, number of artboards, I'm just going to leave this set up with one artboard to begin with. We can always add more artboards to the document as we go. And size, I'll set this up as an A4 and I will keep it set to portrait orientation. I've also got my units over here currently set to millimeters, which is what I'll leave it as, but you can see there's a few other options underneath the units. And then finally, I've got bleed settings. Now, we would add bleed to a print document traditionally, usually between 3 and 5 mil around the outside. Bleed is just our margin for error when it comes to printing. If you're extending color in your background maybe all the way out to the edge of your document, then you want to leave at least 3 or 5 mil extra outside of the document, just in case as it's going through the press it moves around, you're not going to end up with a white line or a white edge down the side of the document if you've accounted for about 3 or 5 mil extra ink on all 4 sides. So I'll add that 3 mil in and I'm ready to go. If I come down and click on OK, it'll open up my document window and I've now got my artboard sitting here. This red line here denotes that bleed line that I've got and that 3mm margin where I'll extend all color out to. So that's the ideal setup when we're working within the print environment. Now when it comes to working with web, I'll come up to File, scroll down to New Document, and this time from the profiles I will choose Web, which will put it in that RGB red, green and blue color space. Now as you can see next to that, I've got the 72 pixels per inch for my resolution for when I'm rendering bitmap graphics, so when I'm rendering bitmap effects such as drop shadows and that kind of thing. And from my sizes, I've got a number of different screen sizes that are available from this drop down, or you could put in your own custom size. If you're doing things for social media, you might put in the width and the height that is set for a social media tile. The unit that we normally work in when we're working for web is pixels, so I will leave that set as pixels. And I'll leave the orientation set as landscape. Normally you wouldn't put bleed in a web document because you're not extending color out beyond the actual the artboard itself. There's no printing taking place, so there's no need for bleed. I'll click OK on, so I now click OK on that, and we're now ready to start work on the web document. So that's the two workflows or the two document setups that I would use when I'm setting up for print or for web, and we're ready to start working within the document in the next video tutorial.